China played a crucial role stepping up, spending that money, generating all of that demand and activity, and in that period, China did become the world's second biggest economy.
中国将出资400亿美元成立丝路基金。
As China moved up the value chain, then it became a threat to some of those Western economies that had been doing business with China in the first place.
We've been ripped off by China.
No longer are the doors just open for free two-way trade.
As you watch this video, a power shift is happening. Quietly, slowly, but it is happening. The world you grew up in, where America controls everything, that world is ending. And what comes next will change your life, no matter where you live, and it's gonna be very interesting. Hey, my name is Arora. Today, in this video, we'll be discussing something that I genuinely believe every single person on this planet needs to understand. Because it's going to affect your money, your country, and your future. Today, we're talking about the next world power. Who will dominate the next 50 years? Is America's time's running out? And is China's quietly taking over? Not with guns, but with gold, trade, and very long, very patient plan. Today, I'm going to show you something most news channels will never tell you. Not because it's a secret, because most people don't know how to connect the dots. Today in this video, we're gonna connect those dots. Let me start with something simple history lesson. This has happened before and no one paid attention at all. First, let me take you back in time because this is not the first time a world power has fallen. And history does not repeat, but it rhymes. In the year 1900, Britain ruled the world. They controlled the seas. They had the biggest empire in human history. A quarter of all land on earth had a British flag on it. They made the rules. The world traded in British pounds. Everyone respected or feared the Great Britain. That's exactly what America is today, right now. But here's what happened to Britain, and pay very close attention. Britain made a few fatal mistakes, which America is doing right now. Mistake number one. They fought too many expensive wars. Britain drained its treasuries fighting World War I, World War II. Yes, they won, but winning costs everything. They were so in debt after the war, they had to borrow the money from America. Mistake number two. They trusted their empire would last forever. They stopped investing at home. Their factories got old. Their technology fell behind. While they were managing colonies in Africa and Asia. America, on the other hand, was building skyscrapers, factories, and railroads. Mistake number three. Their currency lost its power. Before World War II, the world traded in British pounds. After the war, the world switched to the US dollar system. Why? Because America had the gold back in those days. America had factories. America had the power. So the lesson here is simple. No empire lasts forever. And the mistakes that end empires always looks the same. Now let's look at what America is doing today and tell me if that sounds familiar. America today is making almost exact same mistakes Britain made 80 years ago. Let's start with mistake number one. Too many wars, too much spending. Since 2001, America spent over $8 trillion on wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. They didn't win either of the war and money is now in debt. So what is debt? Think of it this way. Imagine you earn $3,000 every month, but you spend $4,000 every month on your credit card. Every month you owe more and more money. Imagine doing this for just 20 years. This is America's financial situation right now. The US national debt is over $39 trillion. By 2030, the US national debt is projected to approach approximately $50 trillion. And that number is so big, it is almost impossible to understand. Maybe it's impossible to repay it back as well.
The United States has hit a grim financial milestone. For the first time since World War II, our national debt is now larger than our entire annual economic output. Public debt climbed to $31.27 trillion by the end of April, and that is compared to the U.S. Gross domestic product, which is $0.05 trillion less. Now,
in short, we just have a spending problem. Runaway outlays in Washington by both major parties. They keep running ahead of tax revenues. There's no even the slightest pretense of reforms that would rein in all of this deficit spending. And we talk a lot in these debates about discretionary and defense spending, but really most of the heat and light in the federal budget really takes place in entitlement spending. So what we're really talking about is Social Security and Medicare. And the lack of revenue means Uncle Sam's got to issue debt in order to cover all of its spending needs. And we're now at this point where the government is just paying more in interest costs. And that's even outstripping Medicare and National Security. Now we have the Iran war, we have tariffs, inflation risks are skewed decisively higher, and it makes bond investors demand these higher yields just to incentivize holding the U.S. debt. And we're rapidly appointing this point of just kind of losing control of the narrative.
Mistake number 2, pushing away your friends. This is the one most people are missing right now. Europe, Japan, South Korea, Australia, countries that followed America's rules and trusted its leadership. But recently, America started threatening its own allies with trade tariffs. It pulled back from global agreements and told its friends, "You are on your own."
U.S. President Donald Trump has escalated tensions with some of America's closest allies, announcing sweeping tariffs on European countries backing Denmark in the growing dispute over Greenland. In a Truth Social post, Trump threatened to impose a 10% tariff starting February 1st, with a sharp increase to 25% by June, unless what he called a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland. The proposed tariffs would target Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Finland. The move marks a dramatic escalation that could further strain the NATO alliance, with Denmark at the center of the standoff.
They do that for Greenland, too. I may put a tariff on countries if they don't go along with Greenland, because we need Greenland for national security.
When you push away your allies, you just don't lose your friends. You open a door for your enemy to walk through. And China walked right through that door, offering those countries trade deals, investments, and relationship with no conditions attached. Mistake number 3, which is the most interesting one. Internal division. A country that is fighting with itself cannot fight the world. America today is deeply divided. Left versus right, rich versus poor, old versus young. Every election feels like a war. Every decision in Washington feels like a battle. China's leadership, on the other hand, moves in one single direction. They plan 10, 20, or maybe 30 years in the future, while America's leaders think about the next election, which is 4 years away. Chinese leaders think about the next generation. Now let's talk about China, and I need you to understand something first. China does not think like America. America for sure moves fast, big announcements, quick decisions, dramatic actions. China moves slow, patient, like a chess master who plans 20 moves ahead. They call it the long game. Here's what China is actually building by step. Step number 1, control the supply chains of the world. 10 years ago, China launched a plan called Made in China 2025. The goal was simple: stop buying technology from other countries, build it by yourself, dominate the industries of the future. The result? Today, China controls or deeply dominates the electric vehicles, solar panels, batteries, and factory robots. If the world wants to go green, they need Chinese technology to do it. And here's the angle no one's talking about. This isn't just business. When the world depends on your factories, you have power without firing a single bullet. Step number 2, the Belt and Road Initiative. China has been quietly building roads, ports, railways, and power plants in over 140 countries, mostly in Africa, Southeast Asia, and South America. The deal they offer: we build your infrastructure, you trade with us, and use our currency. So you may have a question, what is Belt and Road? In simple words, you just live in a small town with no roads at all. Then a big company from another city comes and build you a highway, hospital, and power plant on a loan. Now, all your business flows through that highway. You become so dependent on them. This is exactly what China is doing, but on a global scale. Let's talk about step number 3. Replace the US dollar with yuan. This is the biggest, most important, and most underreported part of the whole story. To understand this section, I need to explain something first. What makes the US dollar so powerful? After the World War II, the world made a deal. All countries agreed that international trade deals such as buying oil, selling wheat, importing cars would be done in US dollars. If Indonesia wants to buy oil from Saudi Arabia, they don't pay in Indonesian rupee. They pay in US dollars. This means every country in the world must hold US dollars. They must keep US dollars in their bank vaults. This creates constant demand for the US dollars, and that demand keeps America powerful and wealthy. Now, China has a plan to slowly break this system down, and the weapon they're going to use, it's going to be the gold. Step number 1, buy as much gold as possible. China's central bank has been buying gold every single month for years. Some experts believe China holds far more gold than they officially report. As one financial expert told the Financial Times that China is buying gold as part of de-dollarization strategy, meaning a plan to reduce the world's needs for the US dollars. Step number 2, offer gold-backed trade to other countries. In June 2025, China's Shanghai Gold Exchange launched new gold trading contracts that international buyers can access. The message was clear. You can trade with China using yuan, and we will back that yuan with gold. Step number 3, which is, I believe, is a very smart move. Don't make yuan too strong. Here is something very clever. Some people ask, if China is so powerful, why they just don't make yuan the world currency tomorrow? The answer is they can't afford to. If yuan becomes very strong, very fast, Chinese products become expensive. A phone made in China that costs $50 today might cost $80 if yuan doubles. Then the world, they're going to stop buying Chinese goods. Chinese factories going to get closed. Workers may lose their jobs. The economy going to get collapsed. This is exact same mistake Japan made in 1980s. Japan and got so strong too fast, their economy went into 30 years slowdown. China knows this, so their plan is to not make yuan strong. Their plan is to make the dollar weak. Slowly, quietly, but giving the world an alternative. The yuan doesn't need to be the number 1 currency. It just needs to be the several option, and that alone weakens America's power dramatically. As analysts estimate, a gold-backed yuan strategy could accelerate China's currency influence by 10 to 30 years. Let's talk about Taiwan, because this is where China's long game gets truly fascinating. Most news coverage makes Taiwan sound like a war waiting to happen. Military exercises, warships, fighter jets, and yes, all of that is real. But here is what most analysts are getting wrong.
Taiwan has hit out at China's military intimidation after Beijing announced major drills around Taiwan. Taiwan's military also said that it has deployed appropriate forces in response to these drills. These drills were kicked off on Monday with live firing activities to be conducted on Tuesday across 5 zones in waters and airspace near Taiwan. A spokesman for the Chinese Army's Eastern Theater Command said that the exercise was a warning to independence forces and against external interference.
China's military exercises around Taiwan are not invasion rehearsals. They are a shield. Their goal is to make it impossible for the US and Japan to intervene, so that behind that military shield, China can do something much more powerful to win Taiwan's people and economy without a single shot. So here is China's real plan for Taiwan. I will explain into a few moves. Move number 1, build economic dependency. China has launched a 10-point plan to create infrastructure ties with Taiwan's small islands, Kinmen and Matsu. Direct flights, trade connections, business links. They are slowly making everyday Taiwanese people feel like working with China, it's going to make their life better. Move number 2. Political pressure, not military invasion. China's 15th Five-Year Plan 2026 to 2030 names Taiwan reunification as a key national goal, alongside economic modernization. The message here is clear for Taiwan. Join us and you will share in China's success. Move number 3. Wait for Taiwan to feel isolated. If America is fighting with its allies, withdrawing from the world and looking inward, Taiwan eventually has to ask, if we had a crisis, would America really going to come? That doubt, that question is more powerful than any missile. So here's the secret angle I want to discuss with you guys. China's strategy is not one country, two systems by force. It is one country, two systems by making Taiwan feel like it's the alternative, it's going to be worse. Hong Kong was the demonstration, and Taiwan is the target. The real question for Taiwan in years, it's not going to be should we fight China. It will be can we survive economically without China. Let's talk about the battlefield of the future, because it looks nothing like what you see in old war movies. The next great power conflict will be fought with artificial intelligence, autonomous drones, and cyber attacks. And both China and US knows this. Here's where the things stand right now. The US still leads in core technologies. American companies like Nvidia, Google, Microsoft, OpenAI build the most powerful AI chips and models in the world. US has more than 4,000 data centers and China has around 400, which is a massive gap. But China is winning in adoption race. In just first half of 2024, China has launched 81 separate AI projects inside government applications. They are just not building AI, they are using it in cities, hospitals, factories, and the military as well. The real race is not who's going to build the best AI. It is going to be who deploys it fastest. China may have already surpassed America in AI-powered drone swarms. Hundreds of cheap, smart drones that work together like swarm of bees.
The latest generation of Chinese weapons seen on display, designed to win any future conflict. All domestically made, the focus very much on unmanned systems, long-range strike and anti-drone warfare. New long-range nuclear missiles like the DF-61 were seen for the first time. On display were a whole range of ground, sea, underwater and aerial drones, focusing on high-end autonomous weapons like the FH-97 unmanned combat aircraft, designed to fly with piloted jets running missions alongside them, together with the JG-13 Sharp Sword long-range strike drone. Also seen were unmanned submarines and uncrewed naval vessels, as well as robot ground vehicles.
In a future conflict, that could matter more than having the best fighter jet. Meanwhile, the US is still debating regulations, budget, policies. China is already building it. As one defense analyst put it, China's military AI progress is an adoption contest, not a technology contest. And in that contest, China is moving faster. So the question is, where does Russia fit into all of this? Russia is not a rising power anymore. Russia is actually a declining power, but it is a useful declining power. Both China and America are competing to use it. Here is the Russia's situation. After Western sanctions following the Ukraine war, Russia lost access to European markets. So Russia pivoted to China. China-Russia trade hit a record of $245 billion in 2024. Russia sells oil and gas to China at discounted prices, and China sells Russia manufactured goods that West won't sell anymore. But here's the key thing. China is the senior partner in this relationship. Russia is becoming dependent on China in the same way that weaker countries became dependent on America. And this is major historical reversal. Russia is not China's ally. Russia is China's resource colony. China gets cheap energy and Russia gets survival. That is not a friendship, that is a leverage. And here's how Russia fits into big picture. By keeping the West distracted with Ukraine, Russia is actually helping China. While Europe and America focuses their weapon, money, and attention on Eastern Europe, China is quietly expanding its influence in Asia, Africa, and Middle East with zero resistance. So, based on theory, the world is actually splitting into two. Let me show you the world that is coming. Based on everything happening right now, the trade wars, currency moves, the military posture, here's where we're heading. So I have divided into zones. Zone number 1, which I would call the Americans' affair. The US will remain dominant in North America, Western Europe, Australia, parts of Asia like Japan, South Korea, and India. And this is America's home territory. They will defend it fiercely. NATO will remain. The dollar will still matter here. Zone number 2, which I would call the Chinese sphere. China is building dominance across East Asia, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, Africa, and in the Middle East. The projects which we have discussed, the Belt and the Road, the UN, the trade agreements, this zone is growing every year. The contested Middle, Africa, and the global South. This is the battlefield of the next 20 years. Over 4 billion people live in South Africa, Southeast Asia, and South Asia. Whoever wins their loyalty wins the future. China is offering investment with no political conditions attached to it. On the other hand, America is offering democracy with many conditions attached to it. Right now, it's very clear that China is winning this contest. And it's very clear China is absolutely ahead than America. America's greatest loss is not its military or economic. It is reputation. For decades, the world admired America. Its movies, the universities, values freedom. Today, in surveys across the developing country, America's favorability is falling while China's is rising. When you lose respect, you lose influence. And when you lose influence, you lose the power. Slowly at first, then at once. So what does all this mean for you? No matter where in the world you're watching this, here are the concrete changes coming in next 10 years that will affect everyone. The first one, the dollar will weaken slowly and gradually. If you have savings in US dollars, pay attention. Not panic, but pay attention. The shift will be slow, but it is happening. The second one is the Chinese products will dominate your life in everyday life. Electric vehicles, solar panels, consumer electronics. The Made in China label is going to be everywhere and the quality is improving fast. The third one is a new internet may emerge. China is building its own digital infrastructure, chips, operating systems, internet architecture. In 10 years, the world may have 2 internet options available, the one built by America, one built by China. Fourth one, Africa will become the world's most important region. Whoever controls African resources, trade routes, alliance in 2030s, win the century. Watch Africa closely. Fifth, wars will look different. No more tanks, no more soldiers on the field. You may see drone swarms, cyber attacks, economic sanctions. The battle is already happening. You just don't see on a news channel. We started this video with the history lesson. Britain fell not because someone defeated them in the war. Britain fell because the world changed and the Britain kept doing the same things that worked in the past. America is at the same crossroads today. China is not trying to destroy America. China is trying to outlast it. To build a world where America's rules don't apply everywhere, where dollar is not just the only option, where East has as much say as the West. Whether this is good or bad depends on where you stand. But one thing is certain. The shift is coming and it's happening. History is moving, and the question is not if the world will change. The question is, are you paying attention? If this video helped you to see the world differently, please share with someone who needs to know this and drop a comment below. I want to know which part surprised you the most. Please don't forget to subscribe my channel. I'll be bringing some more videos like this in the future. I'll see you in the next one.